What's up, y'all? It's Tuesday afternoon, December 1st. Welcome back to another edition of the Wildcats and Then Some podcast. I'm your host, Deshaun. This is episode number 34 of the Wildcats and Then Some podcast. I got a lot to unravel here. First things first, it was a bad weekend for Kentucky sports. Started on Saturday when the football team lost to Florida 34-10. Then it carried over into Sunday when the basketball team lost to Richmond 76-64. But on a positive note, the UK women's basketball team beat Belmont, and I believe they're 2-0 on this young season, so it wasn't a complete disaster for Kentucky sports. But overall, it was a bad weekend. It was a disappointing weekend. First things first, football. Now, I don't know about you guys, but one of my superstitions is if I don't believe my team can win that game, I choose not to watch that game. Instead of watching it, I just follow it on my phone as ESPN gives me updates. Why do I do that? I don't know. Sometimes I think, you know what? Maybe if I don't watch, they'll win. And if you're curious, it has mixed results. I didn't watch the game when the Titans played against the Ravens, but we ended up winning that game. I didn't watch Kentucky play against Florida. We ended up losing. So, it's hit or miss. Now, Florida, before we lost to Florida, we played against Alabama and got beat by 60. Alabama scored 63 on us, and we only scored 3. Yeah, that was pathetic. So, I'm not surprised that we lost to Florida, but I thought Kentucky would at least put up a better fight against Florida. Now, they did, at least for the first half of the game. Going into halftime, we was only down 14-10. So I'm looking at my phone, I'm thinking, okay, maybe they'll play better in the second half and upset Florida. And I was wrong. Florida ends up beating Kentucky 34-10. Now, I'm not jumping on the fire Mark Stoops bandwagon, but something has got to give. I don't know what needs to change. Maybe we need to fire Eddie Gran. Maybe Mark Stoops needs to hand over control of the offense to the offensive coordinator and only worry about the defense. I don't know what it is, but something's got to change with Kentucky football. Now, I'm not saying Kentucky is going to become a powerhouse in football. Shoot, that'll probably never happen, at least not in my lifetime. But I do want to see Kentucky at least be competitive. I do want to see them at least make Alabama and Florida sweat. We can't even do that. Now I don't know how much truth there is to this. I don't have an insider, but from what I've heard from different fans, Mark Stoops, the only reason Eddie Gran's offense is so boring and predictable is because that's what Mark Stoops wants. Mark Stoops wants to control the clock. He wants to ground and pound and win the game with defense. Which, that's fine. If you want to win the game with defense, okay. But you got to have an offense that can put up some damn points. You're not going to put up a lot of points when you run the ball, pass, and you got to punt because your offense is so damn predictable. It's so predictable. Then you sweep left, sweep right, run up the middle, throw it to a receiver who can't even get open, punt. You're not going to win a lot of games that way. It might work against mediocre teams. It'll work against bad teams, excuse me. But it ain't going to work against teams that are solid, like Auburn. It ain't going to work against teams that are good, like Florida and Alabama. Something's got to change, Stoops. If you're going to fire Eddie Gran, so be it. But whoever the next offensive coordinator is at Kentucky, if Eddie Gran does not come back, please let him have control of the offense. Let him make the play call on offense. Let him do all that. You just worry about the defense, Stoops. Now, I don't want Stoops to get fired because he's done a lot of good for Kentucky. Now, of course, his first year under Kentucky, we was 2-10, but we gradually improved every year under Mark Stoops. We went to a bowl game. It might not happen this year, but we've gone to a bowl game 4 years in a row, and we've won, I think, 3 of those 4. We beat Penn State in a New Year's Bowl game, beat them in the Citrus Bowl. We beat Virginia Tech last year in the Belk Bowl. We lost in our bowl game the first time we made it to a bowl game at Stoops. But yeah, I mean, so he's done some good things here. Plus, we had a great recruiting class this year, which I think it was the best recruiting class we'd ever signed in Kentucky football history. But I mean, the results didn't translate on the field, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, he's done some good for Kentucky. But yeah, I mean, if we fire him, it'd be a hell of a buyout. I think he's got one of the highest buyouts in the SEC. So I mean, we pretty much gotta, unless we want to buy out his contract, I mean, we're gonna have to live with it. But again, something's got to give. We can't keep running the same boring, predictable offense every year. Like, you're not gonna win a lot of games when your quarterback can't even throw for 100 yards. Against Florida, Terry Wilson only had, I think, 62 yards passing. 62 yards. And as a team, we only had like 140 yards rushing. Yeah, you're not gonna win against a team like Florida with barely 200 yards of total offense. Like, come on, Stoops. Now, I'm not saying I could do a better job, but you need to get an offensive coordinator who's creative, that can do something. Someone that's creative, somebody who isn't boring, somebody who isn't predictable. Just hire an offensive coordinator and let him control the offense. You just worry about the defense, because, I mean, that's what you were prior to becoming Kentucky's head coach. You was the defensive coordinator at Florida State. So you just worry about the defense. Get an offensive coordinator and let him do all the play calling on offense. That's all I'm asking. Please. And enough about football. Yeah, our basketball team, last week we went 1-1. First game of the year we played against Morehead State. We beat them pretty easily. And then we played Richmond Sunday and got beat 76-64. Now, it wouldn't be Kentucky basketball season if Big Blue Nation wasn't overreacting to one loss. Like, I've seen people overreacting, hitting the panic button after one loss to Richmond. Stop it. Like, I don't know if y'all realize this, but Richmond is actually good. Last year, Richmond was 24-7. If the coronavirus didn't shut down college basketball, they would have went to the NCAA tournament. So it's not like we lost to a scrub. Now, I'm not saying, I mean, I'm mad that we lost too. I mean, I'd like to see us win every game if possible, but it's going to happen. You're going to have losses early on in the season. We're going to have our bruises and lumps. It's going to happen. Now, the only thing I'm mad about with this game is that in the second half, it's like the effort wasn't there. First half, yeah, Richmond was fighting, but we were fighting back. I mean, we went into the second half with a 4-point lead. Then Richmond started running away with it in the second half, and it's pretty much over after that. Like, he should have called a timeout earlier to stop the bleeding. Like, when Richmond was up by 8, that's when you should have called a timeout so we could have stopped the bleeding before they pushed it up to an even bigger lead. They beat us by 12. We didn't hit a single three in that game. Now, we had some good looks. They just wasn't falling. But, I mean, besides missing the good looks, we were just throwing up anything and hoping that it went in the second half. And that is not a recipe for winning. I mean, it also didn't help that we didn't hit our free throws. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, Coach Cal, do y'all not practice free throws in practice? Because that has been a problem with all your teams. Even the year that we won the championship, free throws was a problem. Now, it wasn't that much of a problem to where it cost us the games, because we only lost 2 games in the 2011-12 season, and we won the national championship. But, I mean, like, again, it's been a problem with all your teams since you came to Kentucky. Like, are y'all not practicing your free throws? Like, what's going on? Like, there's no reason why we should have missed 11 free throws during that game. I mean, another problem that I saw in the game that I didn't like, they didn't show no fight. In the second half, Richmond punched us in the mouth, and we just let them do it. We just let them keep doing it over and over and over again. Like, that little guy, I forgot his name, that little guard from Richmond is like 5'9". He ripped Olivier Sarr twice. Like, you would think after the first time you got ripped, you'd be more careful with the ball. Nope. I mean, you're supposed to be a senior. But yeah, that little guy, I think his name was Garland or something, I don't know, but he was annoying the hell out of me. That KO guy was annoying the hell out of me. Yeah, there were some foul calls that Kentucky wasn't getting, but I mean, when you miss free throws, it's not like it matters whether you get them or not. But again, we're only 2 games into the season, so I'm not tripping too hard. But we do play Kansas tonight, and if the effort is not better, it's going to be another loss. We're going to be 1-2. I mean, if we lose to Kansas, we'll be out of the top 25 because we went from 10 to now 20. So we definitely got to beat Kansas if we want to stay in the top 25. I mean, I knew we would have some challenges. I mean, I kind of knew that we would struggle early on, but the effort's got to be there. Now that has to come from the players. Like, Coach Cal can do everything. Coach Cal can do everything in his power to get the team ready for the game, but effort comes down to the player. You can't coach effort. I mean, it's either you want it or you don't want it. But, I mean, I'm not giving up on this team, especially not after 2 games. Like, some of y'all, I don't know, some of y'all be tripping. Like, some of y'all Kentucky fans are too spoiled. Like, first things first, we're not going to win every game. It's just not going to happen. We're gonna have some bumps. We're going to have some bruises. We're going to lose some games. So stop thinking that we're going to win every game. Number 2, stop thinking that, we'll never win another championship with one and done. Okay, shut up. Like, I don't know if y'all realize this, but you got to have talent to win championships. It doesn't matter if you have a team full of juniors and seniors. If they're not talented, you're still going to lose. Now, I'm not saying you got to have 7 future NBA players in order to win a championship, but if you don't have at least a couple, you're not going to win a championship, period. And look at every championship team over the last decade. Like, most of them had at least 2 guys that made it to the NBA. Like, take there was no tournament last year, but the year before last year, Virginia won the national championship. Ty Jerome, who was their starting point guard, he's playing for the Phoenix Suns right now. DeAndre Hunter, who was their starting forward, he's playing for the Atlanta Hawks. Kyle Guy, who was their sharpshooter, he's playing for the Kings, I believe. Now, granted, only of those 3, only Kyle Guy was a McDonald's All-American. But still, they're all in the NBA. Or take Villanova, their 2 championship teams. Jalen Brunson, who was on both of those championship teams, he's playing for my Dallas Mavericks. Mikal Bridges, who was I think he was on both of their teams, I'm not sure. He plays for the Suns now. Dante DiVincenzo, who was on their 2016 championship team, or 2018, excuse me, he's playing for the Bucks. Omari Spellman, he's playing, last I remember, I think he was playing for the Golden State Warriors. And Eric Paschall, who was on their 2018 championship team, I believe, he is playing for the Warriors. Yeah, that's 5 players between their 2 championship teams, all in the NBA. Now, granted, Brunson and Omari Spellman were the only All-Americans coming out of high school, but still, NBA talent. Or take North Carolina. Well, they won the championship. Theo Pinson, I mean, even though he's not a good NBA player, he's in the NBA. Joe Barry, he was drafted. I mean, he didn't really make it, but still got drafted. Luke May got drafted, although I don't think he actually made it on the NBA roster. I mean, but he is playing pro overseas. Or take Duke/championship team. Jahlil Okafor, Tyus Jones, Justice Winslow, Grayson Allen. They're all in the NBA. Anyways, I'm not going through every single championship team over the last decade, but the common theme for all those championship teams is they all had future NBA players. You're not going to win without them. So, one and done at least puts us in a position to compete for championships. I mean, do y'all not remember how mediocre we was when we couldn't get McDonald's All-Americans? I sure as hell remember. Every year we was losing in the first or second round. I mean, do y'all want to go back to those days? Because hell, I mean, if y'all don't like one and done, I mean, we could always go back to the days where we couldn't even get NBA talent and we could lose in the first and second round every year. I mean, y'all are just too spoiled. I mean, yes, I do want to see Kentucky win championships. If we could win every year, that'd be awesome. But it's not possible. It ain't possible to win the championship every year. But at least we're competitive. At least we don't lose in the first or second round every year like some teams. I mean, at least we get to the Elite Eight and the Final Four, unlike some teams. Granted, I do think this team is capable of winning a championship, but yeah, we gotta get better at shooting. We gotta shoot the ball a lot better, especially from the free throw line. We gotta play better defense, that's for sure. Now, I think this will be a good defensive team. We just gotta play tougher. Don't hang your head down when other teams punch you in the mouth, like we did against Richmond. We got enough length, we got enough athleticism, we got enough talent to win the championship. We just gotta, it's the intangibles that we gotta improve upon if we want to win a championship. Which, again, I do think that's possible. I do believe that Kentucky can get to Indianapolis. Well, the whole tournament's going to be in Indianapolis, but I do believe Kentucky can get to Indianapolis, get to the Final Four, possibly win the championship. But they got to start improving now. Now, granted, I mean, yes, we'll probably struggle against Kansas, but I do think we can pull it off. I mean, we're better than what we showed against Richmond. I truly believe that. Of course, Kansas is not going to be easy. I mean, they lost their first game of the year to Gonzaga, so of course they're trying to stay in the top 25 as well. But I think we can beat Kansas. I think we'll be okay. I think we'll end up winning this game. So my message to Big Blue Nation, stop fucking panicking. Be easy. Relax. Everything's going to be okay. We're only 2 games into the season. There's 27 games we have to play all together before we get to the SEC tournament. So chill out. If we lose, it's not the end of the world. We will be okay. RELAX. Relax. All right, y'all. So, I mean, for all the non-Kentucky fans out there, you're probably tired of hearing me talk about the Wildcats. So, moving on. Yeah, my Tennessee Titans, we beat the Colts Sunday 45-26. I gotta say, that was a much better effort this time around than the first time we played the Colts. Now, I didn't see the first half of the game because I was too busy cheering for my Wildcats, even though we lost to Richmond. But, I mean, we played great. I mean, Derrick Henry finished the game with 178 yards and 3 touchdowns. He went out there and proved that he's the best running back in the game. Well, at least this year he has been. He's over 1,000 yards. He'll probably finish the season as the leading rusher. Or if not, he'll be top 3. But yeah, Derrick Henry's a beast. I tell you, I've never seen a running back with his combination of size, strength, and speed. He's built like a defensive end, but he's fast as fuck. I mean, he runs away from people. He runs through people. You need 2 or 3 defenders just to tackle him. Yeah, I'm not gonna front. I was a little nervous about this Colts game because they beat us the first time around. But yeah, I followed the game on my phone while I was watching Kentucky play. First half, we had them by a couple touchdowns, and then when I switched over to the game after Kentucky finished, I saw that we had built on that lead and we were kicking the Colts' ass. Now, I think my favorite highlight of the game was when the Colts attempted an onside kick and A.J. Brown recovered it and scored a touchdown. That was the icing on the cake in that game because there was only 2 minutes left in that game, and at that point it was over. Now I gotta say, I mean, I love Derrick Henry, don't get me wrong, but my favorite player on the Titans is A.J. Brown. Receiver is my favorite position in football, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Now, A.J. Brown, I've been dying to see Tennessee with a number 1 receiver for years, a true number 1 receiver. Because we haven't had that since Derek Mason, honestly. We've tried so many different receivers, but we've never found a true number 1 until A.J. Brown. We tried Kenny Britt as a number 1 receiver. I mean, he looked all right at first, but just couldn't stay healthy, couldn't stay out of trouble. We tried Kendall Wright. I mean, he was okay. He had a 1,000-yard season, but he was never a true number 1. We tried Justin Hunter. I mean, yeah, he was tall and fast, but he didn't have good hands, and he wasn't a complete route runner. Plus, he was injury prone. Corey Davis. He's good. He's a good number 2, but not necessarily a number 1 receiver. But A.J. Brown, man, that boy is special. I mean, he's a freak athlete, 6'1", 226. It's just unfair how big and strong and fast he is. I'm confused as to how A.J. Brown didn't get picked in the first round of the 2019 draft. Except for DK Metcalf, maybe. Excuse me. Yeah. Except for DK Metcalf, I don't think any of the receivers who were drafted before A.J. Brown are better than A.J. Brown. So, all those teams who passed on A.J. Brown, they're probably kicking themselves right now. The Patriots, they was one of them. They took N'Keal Harry in the 2019 draft when A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf was on the board. I mean, N'Keal Harry, he ain't doing shit for real. Now, granted, I mean, the Patriots don't have Tom Brady anymore, but, I mean, Cam Newton, he is a good quarterback when healthy, although Bill Belichick isn't doing him too many favors by not bringing in some offensive talent to help him. But, yeah, A.J. Brown, I like him. He's a big playmaker. He's a threat to score every time he touches the ball. He's a true number one receiver. Now, he may not put up big yardage every game, but whenever he does touch the ball, good things happen. Tennessee, hopefully, we finally put it together. I mean, all year long, we've had games where teams have hung around in there with us, but we barely hang on to win. Now, in a couple of those games, yeah, we won pretty convincingly. We beat the Bills pretty convincingly. We beat the Colts pretty convincingly yesterday. But, yeah, too many games this year. We've let teams hang around and stay with us until the very end. Now, and yeah, we do have 3 losses, but, I mean, it is what it is. Tennessee is 8-3, which we're a lot better this year through 11 games than what it was last year. So, not complaining too much. Now, with these remaining 5 games left, hopefully our offense and defense are both clicking so we can win these games easier than what we have been. And don't get me wrong, it's great that Tennessee can find ways to win, but I just want to see more wins that are in the bag. Not games that are going to make me sweat, but oh my God, that was so close. You know what I mean? So it's good to see Tennessee clicking on all cylinders. Hopefully they'll carry that play over into the playoffs. Now, the AFC is tough. I mean, it's the tougher conference this year, but I do believe Tennessee will hang on and get in the playoffs, whether it be winning the division or whether as a wild card. Now, I mean, hopefully we'll win the division, so that way we can have at least one playoff game at home. Now, yes, you can get to the Super Bowl as a wild card team. The Steelers did it back in, I think it was Roethlisberger's second year in the NFL. I think that was 04, 05. They went to the Super Bowl as a wild card team and they won it. The Giants, I think both times they went to the Super Bowl and beat the Patriots, they was a wild card team. So it's definitely possible. But it's a lot easier. It's easier to get there when you can play at home versus playing on the road every round of the playoffs. Now, 2020 has been a wild year in the NFL. I mean, the Cleveland Browns are 8-3, which is shocking to say the least. I didn't expect the Browns to be 8-3 through 11 games, but shout out to the Cleveland Browns. This is the first time since the 07 season that y'all will finish at least with a 500 record or better. So shout out to the Cleveland Browns. Shout out to the Miami Dolphins. It's another team that I really didn't expect to do much of anything this year, but you've proven the doubters wrong, including myself. Shout out to the Rams. I really didn't expect much out of them this year, but I mean, they're second in the division. They're still, well, actually, no, I think they're third in the division now since they lost to the 49ers, but they're still hanging on to that wild card spot. Buccaneers, I'm a little bit surprised at y'all. I mean, 6-5. I really didn't expect y'all to be 6-5 right now, but you know, Brady, except for these last couple of games, I mean, he's played great for most of the season, but I just don't know if Tampa Bay is good enough to win the Super Bowl. Yes, you should never, I get it, you should never count Tom Brady out. He is a 6-time Super Bowl champion. He does come through in the clutch, but his arm is gone. Yeah, he's great at making the intermediate passes, but he don't have that strength to push the ball deep, and that's what Tampa Bay likes to do. They have to push the ball deep, they like to spread out the field. Brady just don't have the arm strength to make their vertical offense work. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll turn things around these last 5 games of the year and potentially get to the Super Bowl. I don't know. But based on what I've seen so far this year, I think. Now, my preseason prediction was that the Chiefs would win the Super Bowl again. And it's probably going to happen. Now, the only team that has a better record than the Chiefs is the Steelers, who are 10-0. But I just don't know if Pittsburgh has the offense to keep up with the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs, yeah, they may not be the greatest defensive team in the league, but their defense is good enough to hold teams to 20 points or less. They can do it, but even when the Chiefs allow 30-plus points, I mean, they'll score 40 on you, and you still get beat. I mean, Pittsburgh, they definitely have the defense to slow down Kansas City, but can their offense keep up with Kansas City? That's the big question. I think Kansas City's going to win the Super Bowl. Now, who they'll play in the Super Bowl, I don't know. I think it'll either be the Seahawks or, if not the Seahawks, I don't know, maybe the Packers. The Packers, they got a pretty good defense. Their offense is pretty good as well. Only issue with the Packers is they're kind of hit or miss against good teams. Now, they're great against the mediocre teams, but when they play against the good teams, you never know what you're going to get out of them. I mean, this same Packers team that beat the Bears is the same Packers team that lost to the Chargers. Now, of course, I'm talking about last year's Packers, but, it's kind of the same this year. Now, I don't remember who all their losses are against, but I do think either Green Bay or Seattle will win the NFC, but I just don't know if either one of them is good enough to slow down the Chiefs. Now, if it isn't Green Bay or Seattle, I mean, the only other NFC team that I think could potentially get to the Super Bowl is, honestly, I don't know. I mean, Arizona looks good, but they're young. Now, being a second-year quarterback doesn't mean he can't get to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's possible, but not most probable. Oh, you know what? New Orleans. That's the other team. If it ain't the Saints or the Packers, or if it ain't the Packers or the Seahawks, I think the Saints will get to the Super Bowl. Now, can the Saints keep up with the Chiefs? Maybe. I don't know. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think it's going to be an entertaining rest of the season in the NFL. I stand by my prediction right now. The Chiefs will get back to the Super Bowl and win it. Pittsburgh is probably the only team that could slow them down. My Titans, I mean, I don't know. Last year, we made it to the AFC Championship game and played against the Chiefs, but we got beat. I mean, they slowed down Derrick Henry. Tannehill couldn't get the ball to his receivers, and Chiefs ended up running away from us in the second half. Now, I mean, yeah, we're better this year, but our defense can be hit or miss. Now, if our defense can slow the Chiefs down and our offense clicks, yeah, maybe we can upset the Chiefs, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see if Tennessee does meet Kansas City in the playoffs again. The Ravens, I mean, defensively, yeah, they're good, but Lamar Jackson, he's great when he can improvise, but if you can keep him in the pocket, yeah, you have a great chance of beating the Ravens. He's struggled all year, even though the Ravens are 6-4. He hasn't looked like the same MVP quarterback that he was last year. But again, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this NFL season plays out. But enough about that. So, did y'all watch the fight Saturday between Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson? I gotta say, for two guys who are both in their 50s, that was an entertaining fight. I mean, Mike Tyson, he still got it. I mean, he could probably go out there and still knock some people out. Now, I don't know. I mean, is he a championship level fighter? Probably not. I don't know. But Mike Tyson could definitely hold his own. The only thing that's really holding him back is his age. I mean, he's 51 now. I don't know if he could keep up with somebody who's 30 years old, but I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see Mike Tyson fight again, but if he does fight again, it'll probably just be another charity fight. It'll probably be against someone like Holyfield or some other retired boxer. Hell, I'm hearing Lennox Lewis wants to fight again. And he in his 50s too, just like Mike Tyson. But anyway, overall, like I said, it was an entertaining fight. Nate Robinson, oh man. Whoo, Nate. What the hell, man? Like, I really didn't expect a knockout between Nate Robinson and Jake Paul. I didn't think it'd be much of an entertaining fight, but Jake Paul, he's a YouTuber, man. How do you lose to a YouTuber? Come on, Nate. Like, I mean, Nate Robinson, if you didn't see it, he went into the fight just swinging, thinking it was like a street fight. Like, I'm not no boxing genius, but if you're gonna box, you gotta go in there slowly. You gotta figure out your opponent. You can't go in there guns blazing, because I mean, if you do that, you're just bound to lose, which is exactly what happened to Nate. He got knocked down 3 times in that fight. The third knockdown was it. I mean, after that, the fight was over. He got knocked down. It was like a minute into the second round. It was just embarrassing. Like, not long after the fight, Nate Robinson was memed. All kinds of memes sprung up on social media. I tell you, the internet is ruthless. But hey, Nate, even though you embarrass yourself out there, keep your head up, dog. Now, I probably wouldn't show my face for a few months, but he'll bounce back. He'll be straight. People will forget about this one day. All will be forgiven. But one of the big stories that came about over the weekend was Colby Covington. Now, I wrote down his quote instead of trying to memorize everything he said, but Colby Covington said in a tweet, and I quote, "Heard they finally scraped Nate Robinson's carcass off the floor. I'd make LeBron James eat the canvas in half the time. The NBA players are the softest and most privileged athletes," end quote. Now, this isn't the first time Colby Covington has taken shots at LeBron James. There was another quote that he said after his last fight. Colby Covington, said, and I quote, "I want to dedicate this fight to all first responders, not these woke athletes, spineless cowards like LeBron James," end quote. Now, Colby Covington, if you ask me, he must not be a very good fighter. I mean, if you're that great, why are you calling out LeBron James? Like, if you're that good of a UFC fighter, why don't you call out one of the big dogs in UFC? I mean, obviously, you must not be that good, because until Colby Covington called out LeBron James, until Colby Covington started this gimmick of being a racist maggot Trump supporter, I never heard of the guy. So, I mean, after his initial comments about LeBron James, I had to Google the dude. Now, he does have, I think his record is like 16-2. He has a couple of losses. One of those losses was to Kamaru Usman, who broke the man's jaw. I mean, if you haven't seen the picture, it's funny as hell. Like, Colby Covington, to me, comes off as a desperate clout chaser. He comes off to me as a racist. To me, he must not be a very good fighter, because you're calling out LeBron James, who is not even in your sport. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't agree. I mean, this is an unpopular opinion here, but me personally, all publicity is not good publicity. Like, if you gotta create this gimmick where you're a racist Trump supporter, I mean, to me, it just shows that you're desperate for attention and you will do anything to get that attention. Like, if you gotta do anything for attention, dog, then something's wrong. Like, either you didn't get enough attention growing up, or you're just desperate for fame because you're just desperate. Maybe he's jealous of LeBron James. I don't know. Because, hell, you call LeBron James a spineless coward. You say NBA players are privileged, but LeBron James does more for the community than you have, Colby Covington. I mean, I don't know. Does he think LeBron is going to respond or something? But I don't know. I mean, LeBron is not going to respond. I mean, I know y'all have heard the saying, a king does not concern himself with the opinions of peasants. LeBron is like a king. Colby is like a peasant. I mean, everybody knows who LeBron James is. Best player in the NBA, arguably the best player of all time. Colby Covington is just a little known UFC fighter who called out LeBron James to get himself 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, LeBron doesn't need to chase clout. So, of course, he's not going to respond to Colby Covington. Now, the reason I call him a racist maggot is because that's pretty much the gist of the Trump supporters. They're all, maybe not all of them, but a majority of them are racist. And Colby Covington is saying exactly what they thinking, which is why they like him. Because, hell, it's just funny to me how Trump supporters be the main ones saying keep politics out of sports. But when the athlete in question is a Trump supporter, oh, they don't say nothing. Oh, it's all good then. Hypocrites. Colby Covington, if he's not really racist, if he's just doing this for a gimmick, it's sad. It's pathetic. Like, it's 2020. It's about to be 2021. There's no room in this world for racism. LeBron James, yeah, you call him a spineless coward, but again, he's done more for the community than you have. LeBron James, he makes more money in 1 week than Colby Covington has made in his whole damn career. I had to do some research on Colby Covington. He's been fighting for the UFC since 2012. And throughout his UFC career, his net earnings are like $1.8 million. Yeah, LeBron James probably makes $1.8 million in a day. And Colby Covington want to call him out saying, oh, I'd wipe the floor with LeBron James. Okay. Yeah, you're a UFC fighter. If you were to lose to LeBron James, that would be embarrassing as fuck. Instead of worrying about LeBron James, Colby Covington, why don't you call out Conor McGregor or John Jones or one of the other big dogs in UFC? Or are you too scared to get your jaw broken again? Because, hell, I would... yeah, even though Colby Covington is a barely known UFC fighter who's desperate for attention, I would love to see John Jones break his other jaw. And his... among other body parts. Since he wants to be a racist maggot. But yeah, Mr. Covington, I hope you enjoyed your 15 minutes of fame, because once Donald Trump is out of office for good, yeah, your little MAGA shtick, it's going to be over. Nobody's going to care about you anymore. So enjoy your 15 minutes of fame while you got it. All right, y'all, that wraps up this podcast. I really do want to hear from y'all. Please leave, if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment in the comment section. If you're listening to this podcast on Anchor, please leave me a voice message. If you want to leave a voice message, go to Anchor, like the anchor that's on a boat, anchor.fm /Deshaun, DESEAN -Hughes, HUGHES /messages. All right, y'all. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Tuesday. I'm out.